Today we're going to talk about whether or not your career path is holding you back from a better life. This was an idea from Marissa. We've kind of explored this topic a few times. We've talked about, the pathless path and what people actually value in life. Is it job titles? Is it following what your family thinks that you should do, what society thinks you should do? And this is maybe a little bit more of a deeper look into that. So actually, these are Marissa's going to bring up some topics here that I'm going to get really excited about. So, and actually, I purposely we've got some bullet points here, and I like to not look at them. I put them down and then not look at them so that I'm surprised by them again. And I've got a puppy dog short-term memory, anyways. So.
Surprise questions.
So I'm like a guy with Alzheimer's. I'm meeting new friends every day for the first time. Oh boy,
keeps life exciting.
Yeah, exactly. I've got beginner's mentality all the time because I've got a smooth brain.
Sounds nice. I like that. I have the opposite, but
you've got ridges in your brain. Good for you.
Yeah, too many ridges. Trying to get rid of them.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
We're gonna have to do more ayahuasca and LSD. Get some of those ridges out of there.
all the psychedelics are. That is the proven thing. They get to they smooth out those tracks. So
I felt pretty smooth around the edges after the last one too.
Good.
I don't know how much we want to explore that on this podcast.
Not today.
You are not to consult your doctor, check local laws, and we will tackle that another day.
Exactly. One day we'll talk more about it. In the meantime, career, is it ruining your life? Is it holding you back? But this topic came about, so Jeff said there's lots of things that we've talked about that might be holding you back from a life that you actually want to be living, whether that's just traveling, what we talk about here, a lot of you listening, it's that you want to have the freedom to travel the world. That often means taking on, leaving your company, trying a new job, doing something different, leaving your family, just there's so many things that can hold you back from living a life that you actually want to be living. And today I would say it's kind of just digging deeper into one of those categories, which is specifically your career. And with this came about from a conversation I was having with someone, which I found so fascinating. It was someone who I really enjoy talking to, who asked me after we were talking about just career and life and updates and what we're up to and just my travel life. And we had similar career backgrounds before I sort of went a different way, and he had too. Was this question he asked, and he was a little bit older than I am, even farther down the line. He was saying, Marissa, when you think of the word career, does that word matter to you? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was explaining just how much he felt like he needed to have a set career path, but just kind of a set career for his life, for his meaning. And I think it was probably partially driven by his own inner kind of desire and need to have this path, this career path, and probably also some driven by external of how am I perceived, right, by a career path. And I think if you're listening, I'm guessing you probably will relate to at least some of that. Because I think so many of us are really ingrained to feel like our importance, our success, our self-worth is tied to a career path of some sort that looks different for everybody. It might just be that you feel like you need to have any career, some job, or to some people, it needs to be a certain path that you've been on since you were 6 years old, or since you went to college or grad school or law school, or you're on the same path as a family member, whatever that looks like. And in this conversation that I was having, he was thinking about going to travel the world with his family and was going to have to sort of let go of the career he was doing and maybe try something new, or maybe stop working for a little bit and come back to something later. And I could tell he was wrestling with, is career path basically more important? He didn't say this, but this is kind of my understanding of the conversation, than having the freedom to travel, than going out and living life with, your kids or yourself or your family, or just traveling, exploring the world. Are they at odds with each other? And does it all matter? And so as I was thinking of, I don't know if that's super clear, but as Jeff and I were talking about, it's one of our favorite conversations. That's why Jeff gets his amnesia puppy dog topics as we'll go through them. But the kind of overall questions we want to talk about today is is your career path more important than some of the other things that maybe you want to be doing in life? have you, like, I think sometimes you maybe haven't even questioned it enough. I feel like sometimes it's so, like, back to the tracks on our brain, right? It's like so ingrained that, like, this is just what you do, that you haven't even given yourself permission to think that there's another way. I know that was me for sure. So there's a couple different bullets that we'll go through just to kind of, like, take a stab at each aspect of what was leading up to this conversation. So before we get into number one, Jeff, is there anything you want to add that makes it, like, I know it's kind of like rambling there, but makes it a little bit clearer of what I'm trying to say about this conversation or why it came up?
As you were talking, some stuff came up, and it just kind of dawned on me that we feel the need to have a purpose in life. Everybody does. Like, and people don't do well when they don't have or purpose. They flounder. You know, you see these people that win the lottery and just fall apart because they no longer have a reason, a drive, or a hunger or anything like that. They have no purpose to build, to create, to do whatever. And I think, like, we attach to different purposes that keep us going and keep us kind of like in line, waking up every morning and doing exciting things, or feeling, you know, building your self-esteem by having that kind of purpose. And people do it in different ways. Like, you know, my mom her purpose was to be a mother, like a home builder. Like that's what defined her. That's what made her happy. It's what made her self-confident and feel good. You know, some people, all kinds of different stuff. Some people like us, so like it's more of experiences and adventure and that kind of thing. That's how I define myself, relationships. But so many people are like, I'm defined by my career. And, you know, it's kind of interesting. It's like, if you see studies on police officers, so that kind of going way out of left field, but
I'm like, I don't know where this one's going. I have another study. I'm excited.
Police officers,
so I wouldn't.
Do you know what their life expectancy is after they retire?
No.
5 years.
What?
5 years.
Ooh, that gave me chills.
Yeah. They are
Really?
so defined
Wow.
by being
I have, like,
a police
full body
officer.
goosebumps, Jeff. That freaks me out a little bit.
If you go 10 years, you're in pretty good shape. They're so clearly defined as a human being, as being a police officer, that when that's taken away, the purpose is so stripped because it's so intertwined with who they are for so long that when you pull that away, it pulls away who they are. And it's hard to unmarry the two things. It's crazy.
That's insane. And it's not like a football player who is like, it's because of concussions or health or whatever. That's just like pure purpose.
Well, I mean, I think health's part of it. Sure. Cops also tend to be, you know, overweight quite a bit and things like that. But like a lot of it is just, you've stripped away who they are. And you know, you even see this with older folks too. If they
retire.
Yeah. When you see what do you call the people that live to 100? There's a word for
centurions.
In those areas where they have a purpose because they're with family all the time. Right. Whereas, you know,
just community, neighbors.
When you remove that, people do not do well at all. Yeah. You know, like you see somebody's spouse die and then they tend to die pretty quickly afterwards. Sure. Somebody's, you know, their pet dies, they tend to die a lot faster afterwards. You know,
it reminds me, I had the school that I went to, and you've now met some of my high school friends. It's a weird little place. The person who started this will tie back, who started our school, I think he was like 25 or so. And he just died a couple of months ago, and he retired 2 years. So the school was like his life. He ran for like 50 years. It was like a funky little school that was like completely his vision, his purpose, his path, his life, whatever. And he retired, and 2 years later, I think it was maybe even not full 2 years, he was like kind of for a year handing it off, and then very soon after he passed away. And I'm like, you know, he had some health stuff, sure, maybe, but I also am like, that can't be a coincidence. Like, that was his, you know, he had kids, he had family, all of it, but it was like so ingrained in his life that I felt like once he needed to retire, it just was like, okay, it's like, I'm sure it's not conscious, but so much of that is tied, our identities, our life, our purpose, and we don't have that. Our bodies are like, okay, it's like not time to live anymore.
Well, you can relate that back to energy in your body, right? You might not consciously be feeling it, but your body's feeling it. 'Cause it's used to tapping into all those spaces that make you feel good about who you are, and then now that's
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's
Heart
so many
hurts.
people. If you think about athletes or CEOs or people who retire from what like has been their identity for so long, and we'll jump into this, but a lot of people, yeah, it's like they either are very depressed, like you said, they might die sooner, they have health complications, or just they don't have that spark anymore. So there's a lot to be said positively in some ways for career, but I think it'll be fun today, like kind of having that set the stage for where we're going of as you listening, think about your own career path, because I'll wait to like talk about it some as it goes in. But I know for me, it was like, it had become an identity, the career that I was doing. And it was like, in my 20s, even it was so hard to quit, but it was preventing me from living this like bigger, better life. And so I think it's interesting to talk about those changes of almost like maybe learning to uncouple it sooner or earlier so that you can live your most exciting, best life that you came here to live, and not regret the life that we did that whole episode on the 5 regrets of the dying. So with that, should we jump into kind of number one?
We're gonna have to. I'm gonna keep going on this.
we'll just chat forever. I think it will all unfold just like under each of these 5 topics. Okay, so number one, I'm gonna kick this to you to start. Our question was like, what does career even mean? I was gonna elaborate, but I'm just gonna throw that to you to take it as you want.
Oh boy, I think, to me, or to what I think people think it is.
I would say people both, but
Both?
like what? Yeah, as like a general
Yeah.
for our society, like what does career mean? And then if you want to like put that on, what does that mean for you as yourself? I think both are interesting.
I think for at least our society, U.S. society, means it's like directly tied to your job. And I think the idea is a career it's a job in a path. Like I'm in a career of marketing, and the idea is a career is something that you stick with and get better at over time. And a lot of it's like measured in your title. So I think career means I'm building towards getting higher and higher in this particular discipline. And I don't ever see it as people thinking personal journey or personal learning or hobbies even. I think it's almost exclusively tied to your work. And I never hear, and you know what? I never hear it in the context of doing something for yourself, like we're doing with Beach Commute. Like if somebody asks, I wouldn't ever think of somebody who builds something for themselves say, this is my career. It's almost always building something for somebody else. Like I wouldn't say this is our career. I'd say this is our passion
Business,
project.
passion.
This is our passion. Yeah, exactly.
This is the business we started.
Passion. What are you into? This is a hobby and a passion. Well, not a hobby. I guess it's a passion. It's not, but career.
It's a business, but it was because of our passion. So we don't be like we're not like our careers is blah blah blah. It's just like we love to do this, and here's what we're doing.
I guess to me, that's how I would have defined a career in the past, and how I think a lot of people define it. I don't use the word career anymore. I don't
either
think of what I'm doing as a career, and I'm actually happy to disconnect myself from that word and what it means to most people, because it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel in tune with who I am in any sense at this point.
Well, that was what was so interesting when I was talking to this guy when he asked me this question, and I was like, do I have a career? Do I care about a career? Because I very much did when I was younger. Like I went to college, I went to business school where everybody was obsessed with or like business undergrad of like, this is my career. This is what I'm building. This is the business these are the companies I'm applying to. This is the path I'm going. I want to be an investment banker. I want to be an accountant. I want to be a consultant, whatever. And I was on that path like for a lot of my 20s, and it was terrifying to leave it. And now when he asked me this question, like, do you think about career? And I was like, no, I think about, am I making money so that I can do whatever the hell I want in life? And it's very different than I think how you defined it is how I think about when I think about that word of like, I'm on a path. I have this job. It's like that. The titles keep improving. I keep getting promoted. You keep making more money. You keep getting more important and better at what this one thing that you're sort of doing. Even if you were to switch careers a little bit, it's like this progression of doing something and getting better. And to me, it's more the like the title keeps improving, the pay keeps improving, or just you keep getting better or more money or whatever.
Yeah.
But when he asked me, I was like, I don't think about career as the same as you said. I literally don't. If someone asked me, do I have a career? I'd be like, I don't know. Like, I have a business I'm running that I love, and I'll probably always do some things. I might pivot. We might do something else. But I think about it more of like, this is just what I'm doing and what I love, not a career. And I think about now any work that I ever do, and this is so different than I was ever taught or, you know, through my 20s, what is now is what I'm doing. Like, if I need to be making money, if I just like had money coming to me, then great. I don't need to like, I think about it probably more as like hobbies, but like, is the way that I'm making money giving me freedom in life to travel, to be wherever I want in the world, to visit family, or to spend months at the beach in the sun, or to work when I want and not when I don't. Like, just how is the work that I'm doing and feeding purpose too? Because if you and I were doing this exact same thing with all the same freedoms on a topic that we both hated, you and I would be so unhappy, and this would feel miserable. So I think part of it now, I'm like, I want to be doing things that I feel passionate about, but not making it an identity. And I think having switched, over the past couple of years until I got to this, figuring it out, I feel like I've gotten much better at not tying an identity to like, I am a this or I am a that. It's like, here's what I'm doing today. Next year, I might be doing something different. If this ever stops feeling fun, we probably wouldn't do it. Or maybe 10 years from now, maybe this will be irrelevant and everyone will have remote jobs and we'll be doing something different. And so I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, I've lost who I am. I am me and I happen to be doing this. And then whatever I'm working on is just what I'm working on. I don't think about it as a career, but a lot of people absolutely do still.
This is going to be challenging for us to find things that we disagree on this topic.
Yeah. So if you feel differently, definitely let us know. Yeah. But I hope that this is at least helpful for like, as we keep going through this, like I never asked myself these questions so many years ago. So maybe you're on the same page and it's just fun to listen to be like, yeah, me too. Or maybe you're like, fuck, I've never thought about this in this way. I kept thinking I had to build my career and it was everything. And we'll talk about like some other importance and what you might be sacrificing and all that. But one thing I really liked that you said too, Jeff, was when you were giving your definition of career and you said, people aren't measuring it as the personal journey or like their hobbies. I feel like that's what I wish it was. I love, it's kind of the same way when we talk about the word success and people think like money. And we're like, well, what if success, when we talked about this episode one time, it's like, what if it was just measured in like how many times you smiled each day, how many times you laughed, how much you felt fulfilled or connected to people, or it's like redefining it. And it's almost like, as you were saying that, I was like, what if we redefine career as like you're just on a personal journey of creating and doing and expressing? Because I think this is something I had to learn along the way too. When I read the 4-Hour Workweek, which I know is a hot topic on this podcast,
I've learned to just not touch it.
We'll just roll with it. It has impacted so many people. But one thing I thought was really interesting when I read that book, I was probably 26 years old and in such a career where I was like working so much. I only had 10 days of vacation each year. I was commuting so far. And I thought the solution to life was like win the lottery and be able to sit on a beach all day and like you've made it. And in that book, he talked about where he got to that freedom and then realized like he was bored as fuck and people actually like working in ways you want to do, whether it's a career or just a hobby, a journey, a sport you're learning, something you're training for, something you're just learning how to do artistically, music, whatever it is. I think what I have come to realize over time as humans is like, if you were given nothing to do and we're like, here, go sit on this beautiful island for 2 years, you would be bored out of your mind and probably really unhappy. So it's like, yes, we need that sometimes. And it's important to like relax and chill. But as humans, I think we always like to create. And so that's why I loved when it's like the personal journey. What hobbies are you interested in? It's like, what are you doing in life because it fulfills your creativity, your passion, your joy, your purpose, your meaning, the same as you talked about when police officers lost that, when this principal lost that, when athletes lose that. Like, you need something, but does it have to be this, quote, career that you're paid to do and progressing? I guess that's now when I'm kind of pulling apart here.
Yeah. I wonder why it's so quickly defined, at least here. I mean, I'm sure it's different in certain places, but a lot of Western culture, I wonder why it's so quickly and almost universally defined by your job. How did it end up that way?
I don't know, because I know we've said this a million times that, like, in different cultures, like in the US, if someone meets you and they say, you know, what do you do? You'll say, I am a accountant, I am a marketer, I am a basketball player, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And it is your identity. That is like who you are in the language that we've given it. And I think that has like I don't know which came first, chicken or the egg, but like it's manifested of like this, that is who you, the first thing we ask people when you meet in the US, like, hey, what do you do? What do you know, like it defines you. And in other cultures, when you answer that question, the way it translates, you would say, I do marketing, I do accounting,
Yeah.
I play basketball. It's not who you are. It's like what you're doing in that moment. So I don't know which came first, but I do know in the US, like we give so much like class structure, not even to like, yes, to how much, I would say maybe 50-50 to like how much money you make, but also like how important the work you're doing. Like, does that seem cool or is it impressive? Is it special what you're doing? And I know for me, when I left what I was doing, it was like a hard job to get. I was working with celebrities. People knew the company. Like it had this prestige to it that I didn't even realize. And when I left it, I was like, who am I without like people's perception of me changed when I couldn't be like, oh, this is who I am and this is because this is what I do. It was like, I'm just me. And I had to learn to like feel equally valuable and important and fulfilled by the perception of others, by just being me and doing whatever the fuck I wanted, because it was really hard to explain what I was doing. And now I don't care when people ask what it's like so hard to explain this company.
I know, me too.
It doesn't bother me anymore, but it took me a lot of years to get to that point. So I don't know, when you asked like why is it that way? I don't know if it's the language or it's just how over time our society has evolved to like show importance. You know, I don't know, but it's just, I don't know why it happened, but that's factually very much how it is here anyway.
You know what's interesting? I've backed so far out of that world that it feels
Have you
awkward at this
forgotten?
point, because like before I was like so proud of the title. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a CMO, yada yada yada. And now I'm kind of grossed out by it, and people ask what I do, and I like kind of awkwardly
Don't
say,
even want to
oh
say.
yeah, I co-founded a business, and like a lot of people would like take a lot of like pride
Right.
in
This is
that.
what
It's
I've
like,
done.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a business owner, whatever the fuck, and me, I'm just like, I don't, really want to
Talk about it.
I don't want to explain too
Explain,
much
yeah.
about it. It's just like,
Same.
I don't know, something I really enjoy doing. And I don't know. I'd rather talk about what it is than like the label associated with it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you want to talk about what we're interested in? And
Right.
what
We
we're
love talking
helping
about
with.
that. We'll never shut up about that.
Yeah. I'll talk about that, but I don't want to talk about like, well, how big is your business and you? How did you cope? It's like, I don't give a fuck about that. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's much more interesting things to talk about, I think.
Yeah. Because we've uncoupled it, but it definitely used to be that way. So I think if you're listening, maybe you're already where we are, but we wanted to have this conversation because I don't know what I would have thought if I heard this episode 15 years ago. I probably would have been like, this is fucking bullshit. I don't agree, but maybe it would have planted a seed. I think throughout this, we want to keep uncoupling this idea of like, what is your, how are you defining your career? And we'll get into like, why is it holding you back? Maybe because of this societal expectation, or even if it's completely subconscious, like you can't stop doing what you're doing and start traveling the world, or transition to a remote job that gives you more freedom because it means you have less prestige, or your title's not as good, or you're not making as much money temporarily, or it's not what you've been doing for a while. It doesn't seem as important. I don't know. There's so many reasons. So just like, I would challenge you as you're listening to think about like, how are you defining yourself by your career? How important is it to you? And can you start to think about, as Jeff said, like, what's just your personal journey? Like maybe the next personal journey is taking a big fucking leap and a risk to do something totally new that gives you the freedom to travel the world, or be wherever you want, or have more fun, or enjoy what you're doing, or do something just totally different again. So marinate on that as we go to number 2. So we've kind of talked a little bit about this, but the next question we had of like, so we said, number 1, what does career mean? Number 2, Jeff, why does it matter?
Well, I think a lot of why it matters is part of number one is how you establish your worth, your self-worth. Right? Like I so intertwined with who I am, like the police officer. Like, and I think we've been told over and over and over again that your worth is what you do. It is your title. It's your measure of success. It's your also like societally. Like I think that's a big thing. It's like telling other people. All right. So like when you're explaining yourself to somebody else, people want to hear they're in successful company. So it feels good to you. It feels good to them. It's like a social status measuring thing. It's also yeah, it's like a cultural measuring stick too. This person is here, this person is here. Everybody knows where you fit in the hierarchy. And like how much value, how much like social credit you have in the system. It's like there's so much of that. And then there's also your family too. Like there's always this joke like, oh yeah, my son's a doctor, you know, like there's always so much pride in what a parent gets to say about you know, how established their child is and how smart they are or whatever, how successful they are. Like a lot of pride with that in the family, and the you know, grandparents get to brag about, you know, my grandson is doing this, my son or daughter is doing that kind of thing. So the personal thing, there's the external thing, how you relate to friends, and then there's the family pressures and all of those things. And I don't know, it feels all like a big wool's pulled over our eyes. I feel like we're all kind of a bit indoctrinated into this thing that really shouldn't have quite as much power as it does. Maybe it should. Yeah, I think there should be some power to having a purpose and creating and you know, creating your mark in the world. But like to the point that we have it now seems fucking crazy. It's way too much. What was the second part of that question? Did I miss anything?
It was just a one-part question. I think you answered it so well.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I think, yeah, everything Jeff just said is perfect. I think of why it currently is so important and it weighs so much on people. And I would say, like, maybe as you're thinking about this, as the takeaway would be, can you start to, even if society doesn't change yet, and maybe one person at a time will help to like change the weight and the balance and the shift it into being, you know, more of less important. But can you think about your own quote career as more of, are you chasing your, like, what is your personal journey? Are you learning? Are you growing? Are you creating? Are you excited? Do you like what you're doing? Are you passionate? And take that as a measure of success. And with all of this, you know, I feel like you and I are both like, we love to make money. It's not saying like, you know, screw a career and go live off grid and like, you know, money doesn't exist. Like it absolutely does. But like, can you shift it to think about like, it doesn't matter how other people are judging you as the world currently exists. I wish it wasn't that way, but like the world does judge you by your career often. And as Jeff said, of like kind of how you measure up in different ways. And is it easy to introduce what you do and for your parents to be proud to say, you know, their son or daughter does this, or for you to tell your kids that you do this or that, whatever it is. Even if that doesn't change from a societal lens today or tomorrow, because that's going to take a while. I think it's shifting, but it still very much exists. Can you start to think for yourself of how can you make money or live the life you want to be living by doing something that fuels you, that you enjoy, that you like, that you're growing from, that you enjoy? Maybe it's a hobby you want to pursue more, or just like, I wrote down in my notes here, like next to the last thing you said, just that word personal journey, that's like really clicking with me. There's a, I guess not a quote, but just people say about entrepreneurs, they'll say, if you are only starting a business because like you want to make a certain amount of money or you need certain wins, like you will fail because it sometimes takes longer, or you're exhausted, or it's like, it just becomes about these wins that never stop. But if you're building a business where you love the journey of it, like, you know, if you don't make money in one day, but you had a new idea and you're thinking of something new, or you're enjoying writing or building or analyzing or whatever it is that you do in your business or your job, or you made a difference, like, are you enjoying that journey along the way? And the goal, it's not saying don't be successful. The goal is still like, you want to make money and you want to live this life. But the whole point of that is like, are you enjoying it all along the way? I would say like is the biggest part. And so why does it matter? Jeff explained why it currently matters. And I would challenge you as a listener to start to think about, like, are you enjoying your journey of whatever you're doing in that day, and try to take away the lens of how other people are judging you, which is really fucking hard. I want to say it is so much easier said than done. And maybe for some people it's really easy, but I think it's pretty difficult, but yeah. And then to add the lens of, this podcast of like, you're probably listening because you want to live a lifestyle of freedom, of travel, to be able to go places, to travel to new countries, or to move somewhere to another country, whatever that looks like, that's part of it. So even if you're making slightly less, or you have a title that's not as important, or you totally switch gears and left everything you've been doing for the last 30 years, like, is that part of your personal journey? Is that part of your growth? Is that part of who you want to be as a human and what you want to do? And as we talked about this was maybe 2 months ago or so, I forget what the episode was titled. We talked about the 5 regrets of the dying. So many people said, I wish I hadn't worked so hard. So I don't think that always applies when you're just doing what you love, because again, as humans, we want to express and create and do and be. But if you're working so hard on a career that you don't care about, that's when the regrets come. So can you reframe to say, how do you make as much money and love yourself just as much while doing whatever the fuck you want, and zigzag if that's what it means? Or you might be in a career you love also, so we're not knocking, like, it's not like everybody must quit their jobs and start a hobby. You might love what you do. Some people genuinely do, but I think there's a stat that said like 85% of people are miserable in their job. So we know a lot of you listening don't like what you're doing. So maybe pursue the life you want, the life path you want, and let the career or work support you.
You said something that really, really resonated with me.
Oh, cool.
You
What
said
did I say?
the wins never end. And that is so true. I mean, this is biologically true. We are adapted to get used to the status quo, and you always need something additional to feel a win. Like the human brain is never really satisfied in the moment, and that's why we chase titles and we chase higher salaries. It's because you're always looking for something additional to strive for. And that can be a trap, right? On one hand, it is very important to grow, and this is where it's hard to thread that needle, find a balance in life, because you should be striving to improve in your life, because it keeps you going. That's what gets you up in the morning. That's how you actually find passion. Otherwise, you'd just be a blob watching Netflix. But if it becomes your defining thing to always be looking around the corner for something better, then you're constantly chasing something that's never there. You will never, ever, ever get there. Each moment will be as unsatisfying as the previous moment, and you'll be like one of those greyhounds just chasing the what is it? When they go on those dog races and they got like the fake little, I don't know if you've ever seen one of these dog races, but they got like a fake animal going around the track and they can never chase it. They can never catch it. It's a horrible thing to watch. It's so sad because it's always just out of reach for you. And this is like a lot of the human experience. And this is why they teach a lot of mindfulness and being okay with the current moment, so that you're not constantly chasing something that can never arrive for you. And I think having this conversation, and like, I'm not saying that I get it and I figured out life by any means.
We have not. We have certainly not.
100% not. But
we're working on it.
This kind of thing takes so much self-awareness and reflection to really get, like, am I constantly chasing something that I can never achieve? And I mean, that's so much of career. That is so much of corporate life, is just chasing something to the point until it's over. And then what do you have to chase? You never got it. You never did feel it. And it's just, and then it's just over. There was something I was listening to on a podcast the other day, was, I think it was something like, it's a like progress paradox, where people don't have any sort of perspective on where they've gotten to. And if they stagnate at a certain level, it feels like they're actually losing than if you're on the bottom rung and you're actually moving up, right? So if you're at $50,000 a year as an account manager,
Right.
and you jump to $60,000 a year, like if you're at, compare that to somebody that's at $150,000 a year and they're a director level, and they
It's just
go
the
up
stagnation
like
still feels like
1,000 or proportionately less or stay the same, they feel worse than the person making way less money that has actually made proportionate progress in their lives. That's fucking crazy. That's crazy. You're not satisfied making 3 times as much money. You're not as satisfied because progress matters so much to people. So I think maybe in this we'll get to how should you make progress that's healthier.
Yeah. Do you
Maybe.
want to do that now, real quick? Because that wasn't on our thing.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
with that, what would you say?
Well, I mean, there's my opinion on that.
What's your opinion?
I mean, it's going to diverge from the path quite a bit. My opinion is progress is developing passions more than careers and titles. What are you into? You know, like we're into this, and I love that. And this happens to also be a job, but it's like it's passion. Little hobbies and stuff. Mine is pickleball and hiking from Costa Rica, a little thing taken from there. I mean, building on those little passions and getting good at them, I think that's worthwhile. I think it's worthwhile to leave an impression on the people in your lives so that they walk away and think, I'm better having known that person and having that conversation with them. I think those matter a lot. But chasing these flimsy things that you can never get your hands on, like a title, like that's not enduring. You know, like relationships are enduring, and how you impact people, that goes a lifetime. But the titles are it's like a mirage. You never get there.
Yeah.
You know?
I think about like
What'd you
how
think?
important titles were me when I worked at Pepsi of like, did your peer get promoted like 5 days before you did? Like who got this promotion? When am I going to get this next one? Like the titles were so important. And now I look back on that and I'm like, why? Like that literally did not matter. It doesn't define anything about who I am today. It doesn't matter. But like when I was in it, it really felt like it did. So it also, as you were talking, maybe because it's close to Christmas time, reminded me of a story with like Scrooge of like Christmas past, present, future, like the lessons that he learned. And it's easier said than done. Because I also do think money, like I always try to reiterate this on the podcast, is that like we're not saying money doesn't matter and we're not saying it's not important. So I always think about like as a career coach and just all the money mindset work I've done and the career work I've done with thousands of people at this point over the last decade, my purpose is always like, how can you do what you love and make money, right? Like, or how can you be fulfilled in the journey that you're on and still make money? So it's not like we're saying like, go just do a hobby and be passionate and be a kind friend and sister and, husband or wife, whatever, and like, don't make money. It's like, how do you make money, like keep taking steps to doing what you love? And it might be, through my work as a career coach too, it's not always the next step. I think a lot of people get really stuck because you might hear this and think, well, okay, now I got to figure out like, what do I really love? What am I going to do? And I'm not going to leave this thing until I figure out that. I think it's a lifelong path. Like so much of why I've gotten to this where we are today is because I quit my job and I tried something that wasn't quite right, but it got me a step closer, and that led me to somewhere else, and that led me to somewhere else, and that led me to somewhere else, and now here I am today. But if I had never quit the first thing, I would be doing none of this and still being like, what's my passion? I hadn't been traveling. I needed the freedom to do that. I had to start my own business to be I had to try different things to be a career coach to be able to help people to do that. So I think a lot of it is like, just I always say as a career coach, like what's the next best thing that you can do? What's the next best thing that you can do? And not try to think about like, what can I do that I'm passionate about forever? But like, what do you feel excited about? What are you about? How can you get paid to that a little bit more? Or maybe you do the exact same thing for another company, but you have the freedom to travel first. And then you think the next step, and then you think the next step. So it doesn't mean you have to have it figured all out today. And I think our life's journey is continuing to like unfold as you go. So if you're listening and you don't know what your passion is, or you don't know what you want to pursue or what could be better, just think of like, what's the next best? Maybe you just want to work for a company that like you like the mission a little bit more, but you're doing the exact same thing. Or maybe it's just you're free, or maybe you totally blow up your career and you try something new that you know you've always wanted to do even when it doesn't make sense. Or you start that hobby that might turn into a job if you've get a little experience under your belt. Like, it looks really different for every person. It's usually not a straight path whatsoever. But I like, everything you're saying, where how can you redefine it as just like, are you enjoying the journey? And how can you make money enjoying the journey? Like, yeah, that's why I want to redefine career. How can you make as much money as you can? Yeah. While enjoying your personal journey, like that's really genuinely enjoying it.
Good distinction, and to not ignore making money and just be, and just drop off the grid and join a commune. Like, that's not what we're saying.
You might want to.
We live, sure, if that's what you want. That's not. I'm not preaching that by any means, but yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, so before we jump into number 3, if you're listening to this and you're like, you want to start traveling, you want the freedom, you don't know what job you want to do yet, if you're not already on our email list, every day we send out a list of companies that let you work from anywhere with jobs that they're hiring for. And a lot of people just tell us it's like inspiring to see what companies are out there, what jobs they didn't even know you could do fully remotely. So if you're ready to have this freedom and travel, and that's part of the life journey and personal path that you want to take, make sure you join our email list. It's beachcommute.com/email. So you get those daily emails with openings and jobs, and maybe you'll find that thing that excites you most next, which is what we love to help you do. So beachcommute.com/email if you're not already on there. And with that, number 3 is, so like, I feel like we've kind of mentioned things along the way now from this, but the next question we had as we were thinking about this topic, so Jeff, is what are you sacrificing for this career that you have? So if someone's on a path for, maybe they're on the same path for a while, or they're just on a path that they don't really love, or maybe, whatever that looks like for someone, what might they be sacrificing if they don't like where they're at and they want to travel, or they want the freedom? I don't know. What are people sacrificing by not leaving their current career?
I've seen people sacrifice everything. Literally everything.
Just that.
Everything. They don't, but they will convince themselves that they're doing it for a good reason. But I've seen people, and I think people do convince themselves that they're doing the right thing all the time, and they'll cope with things. But in this case, I've seen people sacrifice everything. I've seen them sacrifice their physical health. You see that every day. You see them sacrifice their mental health every day, sacrifice family. I had a friend convince himself that he was working 80 hours a week. It was legit 80 hours a week so that he could put food on the table. And he did some self-reflection. It was like, I was doing that for me. Like, we had plenty of food on the table. We were fine. I did not need to make that much money. Relationships, obviously, you sacrifice relationships. If you're not going out, you're not present when you're talking to your friends, you're thinking about work, doing work, you're sacrificing experience, you're sacrificing hobbies, you're sacrificing travel, you're sacrificing everything. You have replaced life with your career. And that's maybe extreme cases. That's what I'm talking about. Like, whether you're taking one of those, whatever 6 things I just said, or all of those 6 things, it's not free. You're making an active choice with your time and your energy, and you're borrowing from somewhere. You only have so many hours in the day. You have to, and energy during the day. You have to borrow to have that. You can't have it. You can't have all of these things, or at least you can't have all these things and be present with all of these things. So, yeah, I think this is the biggest one. You are trading off a lot for these kind of things. Oh man, that's such a deep one. It hurts to say these things because you look at that and be like, man, the amount that you have to give that matters so much, in my opinion, more than a title and a career for somebody else's company. It's, oh man, you'll never get that back. You'll never get your kid's company back, like, ugh, hurts to even think about this. So many people have to do this.
Yeah.
Oh man, what do you think?
I think you said it beautifully. I don't have much more to add because you've covered everything, all the things, but it's hard. I guess I want to say, as I'm listening to that, it's like, you and I aren't perfect at that either. It's like
No.
we,
God, no.
even as we've made it as far as we have, thinking about these things and trying to enjoy our personal journey. And I think we have probably far more than a lot of people. And even with that, there's, still days where I probably work more and sacrifice my health when I shouldn't have, or time, or I'm like, oh, I'm just going to work a little harder and say no to this event, or, say no to this sunset tonight. Cause I'm, it's like, we don't have this all figured out by any means. Like, I think it's still questions every day of like, it's sort of like that short-term versus long-term thing, which is like, do I keep doing this in the short term thinking there's going to be these wins? And then when you look long-term, you're like, oh, I've sacrificed everything, which is like, or can you just keep building slowly, knowing like, yeah, we have to make money. We have to, if you're listening to this and you're like, fuck you too. Like, I have a family. I have to put food on the table. I do have a job, or family to support. Like, sometimes you do have to do things you don't want to do until you figured out the next step. So I just want to say as a reminder, as Jeff was saying, all the things that you might be sacrificing. We also used to sacrifice those things thinking it was the right thing to do. Sometimes you do have to do it. And I would say, like, coach me in this role wants to say, like, just what's the next best thing you can do? What's the next best thing you can do? Even if it's just one little choice a day to not work overtime for a company that doesn't value you, and spend, say yes to dinner with your family instead of working those extra 2 hours, or start applying to jobs that you thought were out of reach, or that you don't have experience, or the scary thing to quit your not remote job so you can try something new and have the freedom to travel for yourself or your family, or whatever that looks like, of just like I guess I'm trying to say it's an endless journey, and you and I are not preaching, because every day we still are trying to get better at it ourselves. So as you listen, just to think like, what are you sacrificing for yourself today? Is it your health? Is it your time? Is it your family? Is it your joy? Is it security? Is it whatever that is, freedom to travel? And how can you just get one step closer to be like, screw this. I know society looks at this otherwise, but like, this is important. What is important to you, and what's the next step that you can take?
Yeah. I think that's an important distinction to make. I am not talking to anybody on this podcast who hasn't covered their bottom of their hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not feeding yourself and you are
quit your job.
money insecure, we're not talking to you. And that needs to be covered. That's a whole different conversation. This is mostly for people who may be somewhat deluding themselves into thinking that they're doing the right thing after they've already covered all of those bases. So yeah,
right.
I'm glad you covered that.
Okay, so the last point we have to hit here, this is kind of like a two-part question, and I'll throw it to you, Jeff, is like, is it actually important to have a lifelong career? And I say lifelong as like, you've picked your thing, even if let's say you're in your 30s or your 40s or even your 50s now, or your 20s, whatever, and you're like, I want to switch to figure out that thing I want to do for the rest of my life. Or maybe you're already in something that you feel like you should do for the rest of your life. So it's kind of that, like, the past generation used to view things, right? Like, is it important to have one lifelong career, or some sort of career or path? Or is it important to even have any career? Maybe I'll save that. Actually, I'm going to add a last question after this. Let's tackle that first one. Is it important to have some sort of like lifelong career path, journey, kind of direction?
Sure. As in, like, for your whole life, you have some sort of passion, or like a specific career path that you pursue for your life?
Then I'm going to do this. The first part of that will be the next one we ask. So for this one, do you think it's important for someone listening to be like, do they need to find one thing that they're like, this is what I'm doing forevermore? Or like, if they're in something, do they need to keep doing, like, just someone need to find a career that is like, oh, I finally made it. I finally found the thing. I finally found the path. And now you're set for, it will evolve and grow, and you'll get promoted or make more or learn more. But like, do they need that one career path?
No, I don't think so at all. I think people change. I think people's interests change. I think people get burned out on doing the same thing. Some people don't, but a lot of people do. And they feel this obligation to stick with something that they don't want to do, or they're scared to jump into something else. You've talked to so many of your clients about career switches and how to get your mind around using your transferable skills and not being afraid to start something not brand new, but somewhere that you can apply what you already know into it. And it's totally fine. And I think you should do that, especially if you're feeling like I'm only doing this because of inertia and because I'm obligated to for whatever the fuck reason, doesn't matter. Like, no, I don't think you need to stick with any particular thing. I think it's healthy to reinvent yourself and the things that you're interested in and get a new, fresh perspective on stuff. Yeah, no, I don't think I've got anything to add to that. I think if you do love something your whole career, yeah, I'm not going to tell you do something different. That doesn't make any sense. But a lot of people don't. What's the average number of career switches people have? A lot, right?
Oh, I used to know the stat. There was some crazy one that was like 7 by the time someone is like a year and a half out of college for our generation.
It's a lot, yeah. And most people do it. Almost everybody does at least once, I would say. So I'm 100% for that. I love that.
Yeah.
To the extent that you're not just like bopping around you're just chasing the shiny red ball. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. Some focus, I think, is probably good, and mastering an area to a certain degree, sticking to it and mastering an area. I think there's something to that for sure, but like not jumping to something else because you feel obligated to stick to it. This isn't. We're not working at Ford plants for 30 years until you retire back in the 40s. This isn't that anymore. So I don't subscribe to that. I can't imagine you've got. Well, I imagine you get the same opinion, but maybe you can share a little bit about the things that you hear, because you hear this a lot from people that you work with, and what you talk to them about.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think when I first started doing career coaching, and I was like in the first couple years of this, back then I would have said like, there's so many people who are in the wrong careers, and like my specialty was when people are like, I'm doing something, I know I don't quite love it, I'm not quite fulfilled, but I don't know what would be better. That's like the like if you were feeling it, that's like who I really most love to help. And if you'd asked me like 5-7 years ago, I would have said, people are just in the wrong careers. I will help you get to the right one that you can then do forevermore. That was like sort of my belief, is like, you're just in the wrong thing. You just haven't found the thing that is your life passion. And now it's like, we don't know what we don't know. I feel a little bit differently, which is I still speak to so many people who are really unhappy with what they're doing. The mentality I have now is more of a lifelong bopping around journey, where I do think if we're always growing and learning, as you said, it's like, what's important to you today, you might you're like, think about how fast like AI and like different careers and opportunities are growing. The thing that you might love to do 10 years from now might not even begin to exist today. So how could we say you're going to do this the rest of your life? Or maybe something happens to you 7 years from now and like it totally changes some new interest or thing that you learn or want to do, or someone you meet. So to me now, instead of saying you're in the wrong career and I'll help you get to the right one that you can then do lifelong, it's more of like, what are you doing that you don't like today, and what is the next thing that would just knock your socks off, that you'd be like so excited to do? And maybe you'll do that for 1 year, maybe you'll do that for 10 years, maybe you'll do that till the day you die or retire, and I don't know, and that's okay, and you don't know, maybe, but I want to help people. It's like, what's the next best thing? And it's totally okay if 5 years later or 2 years later, or however, insert any amount of time, you then go through that again. And it's fun. Like, now that I've been doing career coaching for so long, I have a lot of repeat clients who I've worked with every once a year, every 2 years, every 3 years. People come back to me and they're like, all right, Marissa, you helped me and that was the right thing then. I've done this, and now what? And I love that. And a lot of people feel bad. And I'm like, no, this is amazing. Like, you've now grown. Now you know how to do this. Now you have these new skills and experiences. What do you like or dislike about that? What else have you learned, and what's next for you? So I think I've reframed it now to look at it as like a lifelong journey. Like you said, that personal journey that can always be changing. And maybe there's through lines, or maybe, there's skills, as you said, Jeff, that you kind of pick up and add to along the way. But I definitely don't believe we have, like, I do think some people, if you're listening to this and you're like, I have a career that I think, maybe you have something that you absolutely love and you want to do the rest of your life and you want to figure out how to do it remotely. Like, there are some people who I do think will stay in a lifelong career, and that's not bad. It's just like, I think it's very rare. So ask yourself, are you staying because you're supposed to or because you genuinely love it? If you genuinely love it, keep on rocking. If you're just like, oh, I could keep doing this forever, but maybe you're in the wrong career, what's next? And then what's next? And don't be afraid to keep reinventing yourself forevermore.
You know what I've been trying to get better at with everything in life is asking myself why I'm making the decision that I'm making. Like almost everything. Why am I choosing to do this? Like, is this coming from me? Is this coming from an expectation? Is this coming to not disappoint somebody? Is it coming from anxiety? So I think like your point in that saying, why am I doing this? Is everything to that. And if you answer that honestly, I think you actually have your answer, right?
Yeah. And I love like even people, so like we have our remote job fast track program, which if you are looking for more support to get a remote job, you go to beachcommute.com/apply. It's really fun to see people in it because everyone has a different journey of like why they're choosing what's next. Some people are like, I know this next job that I'm choosing isn't really fully like their passion yet, but like they want our help just to be like, get me remote as soon as possible. This is the quickest thing. And then once they're, we call it a bridge job. It's like, once you're there, then we'll work with you to say like, okay, now how do you, from this place where you're a little bit happier, a little bit more free, now choose something better. So if you ask yourself the why, that person's first why might be, I just got to have remote freedom first and foremost. That is most important. And then I can think about like, okay, now why am I doing this job? I'm free and I don't like this job fully. So now what can I look for next? And so if you ask yourself why, it's like, are you trying to get travel freedom? Are you trying to enjoy your hours day to day more? Are you trying to work less? Are you trying to make more? Like, what are your priorities? And why are you seeking this next change or not?
Yeah. It's tough because it takes so much self-reflection. It's so much work.
God, yeah.
It's so hard. So
we have coaches to help you inside this program because it does take a lot of help from someone who can ask you these pointed questions and help you fully like say really what you want and not just what you're like, not letting your fear run you. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard without, it's almost like a therapist. You know, you don't know what to ask yourself. You don't know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the last?
Okay, so lastly, so now we've covered that you might have a lifelong career, but you do not have to have one path. The last question I have that we have here is it important to have any career, Jeff? Like, what if you don't want to do any work? Let's just say you didn't have to work for whatever reason. Let's say you have money, magic things coming to you. We've made so much money from Beach Commute. Next, you don't have to work forever. But for anyone listening, like, is it important? Or even if you think about it as someone who like might not have a quote career, but is just bopping around doing totally random jobs that gives them freedom and it's fun in the moment. Like, do we have to have any career as in any sort of path? Or do we have to have any career? Like, does anyone need to work? Do they have to say they have a career? Like, how do they define themselves if they don't? Like, take it as you want.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a tough question. I think it's important to have some sort of purpose in life, something that you're working on that you're passionate about. Does it need to be like a typical career? I don't think so, and I don't think it necessarily has to be for money either. If you're good, then no, I don't think that's that important. But I do think, just for other reasons we said at the beginning, it's important to have a purpose in life and something that you're working towards. Because people don't do so well when they don't have some sort of purpose. But if you've got, you know, you're covered from money and you're just like, okay, you know, I want to go from hostel to hostel, surf hostel to hostel, you know, turning over beds, turning over rooms so that I can surf from one end to the other. Yeah, that's great. I mean, that makes you happy. It makes you feel fulfilled. Yeah, and I don't care what your family thinks about that. I think that's awesome. I think I would take that over the CEO working 70 hours a week and taking designer drugs to keep up that lifestyle any day of the week. One is going to live to 90 and the other one's going to have a heart attack at 50. So who's more successful in that scenario? I'll take the surfer 100 times out of 100, you know? If they're doing totally fine, they're fully fulfilled, smoking a joint on the beach in the afternoon and surfing and happy and fulfilled and like sustainable, that's fine. That's totally fine, in my opinion. It's maybe on the far end of what I would describe as fine. But yeah, I think just working towards a passion, working towards something that you're really interested in, and getting good at it, and developing personality, interests, not being a blob. Yeah, I think I think that's great. I might be on the extreme end of that.
Yeah, but I feel
allowance.
like we've worked a lot to get to that point of view, because you and I, neither of us had that. And I think it takes a lot of hard work to unwind what society has told us is like, this is what makes you important. This is what you need to be striving for. You must have a career. You must be working. But like, if you can rock it and you find a way to like not have to work or have a career, and you can have more freedom. I think, as we mentioned before, you'll probably be bored out of your mind if you don't have something that you are creating or doing, or I say chasing. I feel like that's usually like a negative connotation. But like you said, if your goal is like, maybe you retire at, 42 and you're like, all right, over the next 5 years, my goal is to surf for a year on every continent. Like, that's a cool goal. Or, people want to bike across a country or continents, or I don't know, maybe you start some nonprofit, or you learn to crochet blankets every night. Like, I don't know what you do, but like, you'll want to find something that fulfills you and takes up your time. Or a lot of people, as you said, decide to stop having a career and focus on being a mother or a father and spend time with kids for X amount of years. Like, that's fantastic. So I think you'll be bored if you were doing absolutely nothing, but it doesn't have to be a like career per se. And I also think it takes a lot to unwind societal, like, I feel like you have to not give a fuck what society thinks to like be good with that, to be like, I'm just like, I feel like we've made it okay if you want to like be a stay-at-home parent, but it's like, you're like, let's just say, for an example, let's say you don't have kids, and you're just like, I'm not working. I feel like people judge that. They're like, they don't do anything. Even if you can, or even if you've made money, it's like, it's a weird thing. So yeah, I definitely think we should, I hope that as a society, we all move closer to like, the point is just to be and to live and to have experience as a human. And I feel like some people are put on this earth because they want to like become president and do whatever. And some people are like really happy just like watering, like growing a garden in their backyard and hanging out in the community and making their community a little bit better. And like, that needs to be okay. Like, I think that's a shift I'm making, where it's like, I kind of believe that we all come with these internal desires built in, where it's like, some people really are driven to like find the cure for cancer, or like do these things, and like that will fuel them and they will be so happy doing that. And some people are like really happy running the local surf shop and then selling, we're just not doing that and surfing all the, or what, whatever that looks like for you. It's like, as long as you feel fulfilled and excited and like have something that wakes you up and gives you life and meaning each day. And I think it's way easier said than done. It's something I still struggle with. Whereas like, if I wasn't doing this and I was doing nothing, I'd be like, who am I? What am I doing? Like, not as much as I used to be, but I don't think I'm perfect at that yet, but that's where I would like to fully get to.
Yeah. You know what? A couple things. First off, don't trust anybody who wants to become the president. That's an insane person. It takes an insane person to want to do to actually have the thought in my head. Yeah, I am the person fully equipped to be the leader of the free world. Like, you're insane. You're an insane person.
It just feels exhausting and tiring and stressful.
The brain that it takes to think that thought is wild.
Thank God there's some, maybe.
I guess.
Yeah, I know. And then I was like, well, I don't.
Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, different topic. A goal of mine that I've had recently, new one. I want to motorcycle ride across Vietnam. I want to do the motorcycle ride. Yeah, that's a thing, right?
This is new. I was like, what are you gonna say? Because I don't know. Well, there's the Ha Giang Loop, which is, so if you ever go to Vietnam, I always tell people it's Hagiang, but it's pronounced, I think, the Ha Giang Loop. It's like a 3-day motorbike trek around. But I do think people, like, from north to south or south to north, do ride a motorcycle, like that whole strip of the country. And I highly support that, Jeff. Like, go do that tomorrow. Take a month off.
I feel like that would.
It takes. Go do it.
That would speak to my soul.
Sounds epic.
Yeah, it does sound epic.
Do it. Yes.
Is there a way to do it where you can? Do you just wing it, get a bike, or do you like figure out your hotels that you're gonna stop in and like?
I feel like you gotta wing it. See how far you get, where you go. I'm sure there's some blogs out there, people who have done it that like have some good advice. I don't know, but I was like, what is your new, I didn't know what you were going to say, because I've never heard this. When did this dream come about?
And people have talked about it before, and I heard it, and I'm like, oh, that sounds really cool. 'Cause I used to ride a motorcycle for a long time, and like, I don't know, I heard that, and I'm like, that sounds like an amazing thing that you would look back on and say, like, it's like one of those type 2 fun things, these type 1, type 2.
It's like hard and actually miserable while you do it, but like epic at the same time.
Really, yeah, difficult and not always a great time, but it's something that's fully worthwhile doing.
Even the 3 days that we did around that like loop, it was raining, it was cold, it was miserable, and I still look back at that and I'm like, that was the coolest thing I've ever done in Asia. Like, so it is that type 2 fun where it's epic. Well, I hope you do that sooner rather than later. You could definitely just take some, I don't know how long that takes, but take some time off and just fucking do that.
Okay.
I love you guys are listening live on this podcast of these things. But that's what's also so cool. That's what I mean, where I feel like you have these like internal things that like I don't have that same, like 3 days was enough for me, like motorbiking through Vietnam, and you've never even been to Vietnam, and yet like you're called to do that. So that's what I mean of like when I help people coaching of those, like a lot of people actually do know those. Well, actually, okay, I'm gonna say maybe 50% know the dream and are like, I can never do that. I'll do that when I'm 70, like, or that's for other people. Like, you'll do it later. Some people have never even given themselves permission enough to dream. So it's sort of like 2 different issues depending on what point you're at in the journey. And think about that for yourself, where you are. Have you even given yourself permission to dream that you want to ride, your motorbike across Vietnam? Or do you know you want to and you're scared to do it? And then, like, what are the next steps to do it? So maybe you need to start brainstorming. Would be exciting for you, or you need to like figure out ways you already know the dream and go do it.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
Well, that's it.
That's it. Woo, man, that was a good one. I didn't think we were going to get into such a
loaded one.
Yeah, that was a loaded one.
I'm really curious if you guys can comment, and if you're listening on Spotify, you can like give comments, or feel free to write us in hello@beachcommute.com. If this one resonated with you, like, I would love to know, where are you in this journey? Like, are you just like nodding your head along yes, because you're kind of already believing and around where we are? Is this pretty new to you and you guys are like, are you I don't know, newly thinking about what career means to you, and maybe this totally changed what's next for you, or at least having you think? I'm really curious, so definitely write us in the comments and let us know how this impacted you, what you're thinking. Is it blowing your mind? Is it giving you permission to make a change? Are you just like, you've been doing it too, and it's nice to hear? Yeah, do you want to fight us? Tell us if you need a career in an office for the next 80 years.
Sure.
We'll hear you
out.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Anything else, Jeff? I feel like we covered a lot.
No, that's it. I think we covered enough ground for today.
All right. Well, with that, then, see you next week.